Hello and welcome. His ironic depiction of modern Egyptian society has made him one of the most widely read authors in the Arab world. That success has empowered him in other areas, including politics, in a country where politics is a sensitive issue. This week on 101, meet the best-selling author and commentator, Alaa Al Aswany. Writing was in his family, although Alaa Al Aswany's father, an award-winning novelist in Egypt, died when his son was only 19. Al Aswany trained as a dentist and practiced in Cairo, but became a regular writer of articles on literature, politics and social issues, often critical of President Hosni Mubarak. Now on the international circuit as a best-selling author, Al Aswany can smile quietly when he remembers his repeatedly unsuccessful efforts over many years to get his first book published. When it was eventually picked up by a small publisher in 2002, The Yaqubian Building instantly became a massive hit, selling in various editions around the world, and was made into an equally successful movie in 2006, featuring some of the Arab world's biggest stars. It touched a raw nerve in the Middle Eastern culture by focusing on issues that are considered largely personal or taboo in the Arab world. In his second novel, Chicago, in 2007, Al Aswany drew on his time in the American city of the same name, where he spent 2 years on a dentistry scholarship in the mid-1980s. It continues the writer's interest in examining the political, emotional, and social tangles of human nature, largely from an Arab perspective. Alaa, it's great to speak with you.
Thank you very much.
You write fiction, but a lot of what you write seems to be commentary. Do you see yourself as a commentator on life?
Well, I write non-fiction. I write political articles. I write articles about social issues, the woman issue, about the Arab world. But I see this very distant from literature. I believe in literature, and I believe that the motivation for writing fiction is to be able to produce a real life on the papers. I define the novel as a life on the papers that is similar to our daily life, but more profound, more significant, and more beautiful.
Interestingly enough, that first big success, The Yaqubian Building, was the top best-selling Arab novel for 5 years, consecutive years. Now, what was it about that story, do you think, that really appealed to the Arab market?
Well, I must tell you that I'm very proud because The Yaqubian Building has been the best-selling Arab novel, as you said, from 2002 till 2007. And now the Yaqubian Building is #2 because my latest novel, Chicago, is #1. So I'm very proud to be #1 and #2. Thank you very much. Well, I believe that the topic is not the reason of the success, because I think that any topic I did discuss in my novels is very reachable in the sense that if you would like to know anything about the Arab world, you could go just to the internet and you will find a lot of material about this. I believe that what makes really a novel successful is that probably it's a good novel as far as literature may be concerned.
You know, it's interesting, that book, The Yaqubian Building, was translated into a very successful movie in 2006. Were you happy with the way the words that you so carefully crafted ended up on the big screen?
Well, I have my philosophy here. You see, I keep my distance. Because many of my works have been or are going to be adapted for the TV and cinema and theater. The adaptation is a responsibility of the people who are going to make the movie or the play or whatever. So I don't interfere. I don't go to the shooting. I don't read the script unless they ask me my opinion. If they don't ask, I don't interfere. So, nevertheless, I think it was a good movie. It was very loyal to the novel, and I think it was a very good movie.
Politics got in the way, though, and they didn't let you go to the premiere.
Yeah, I was not invited. I was
Now,
not
that's a
invited.
kind of ironic blow.
Yes, but I must tell you that that was one of the most wonderful days of my life. I felt very, very honored in the sense that I am just a writer who has only his ideas, and these highly ranked people are obliged to go to see my ideas, and they cannot tolerate my existence. So, what an honor.
Now, as is well established, there is a Yakubian building in Cairo. And I wondered, I know you draw to some degree on reality. You say it's fiction, but you draw quite a lot on those characters. To what extent? Because I know you had people from the Yakubian building, the real Yakubian building, actually, file lawsuits saying you used them in your novel.
Yeah, well, it's a comic story, as a matter of fact, because what happened is that uh, I only used the name of the building, and this is a category well known in fiction, you see. So I just picked up the name of the building, and before, I mean, for 4 years, I used to go to make interviews there, and everybody was very happy. Uh, what happened is that when they knew that the production, the movie production, is going to be the biggest budget in the history of the Egyptian cinema. So the responsible of the building asked for money, and when we said no, and then he began to find any similar first name between any habitant in the building and any character to sue us and to ask for money. They lost most of the cases.
Let's take you back to your childhood. You grew up as an only child in Cairo in the late 50s, early 60s. How was that time? How did it shape the way you developed?
Well, it was in the late 60s, early 70s.
Same time as me then.
Yes. Well, it was good because I was very lucky to be, raised in the house of Abbas Al Aswany, who is my father and who is a very known writer in Egypt. And I was very attached to him. And we had literature everywhere in the house. And I think he built me up in the sense that I learned to read and I learned to write. I wrote my first text when I was 11 years old. It was absolutely very childish thing. But I had in mind, my only dream was all the time to be a novelist.
And he, as an award-winning writer, understood the passion, I guess. He pushed
Yes,
you. He pushed
yes,
you a lot,
but
didn't he?
he advised me to have another profession. That's how I became a dentist, because he was a lawyer as well. Naguib Mahfouz, the Nobel Prize winner, had to work as a civil servant. You see, because you cannot make your living from literature in the Arab world, even if you are successful and famous. What's happening to me is very exceptional because I have become a best-selling novel in the West, best-selling novelist in the West. And accordingly, I earn money. But usually, you don't earn money from literature.
Now, your father was described as a self-made man from the South. What
Yes.
was it? What was it about
Yes,
him then?
because my mother came from a very aristocratic Egyptian family. Her uncle was the minister of education, was what we call in Egypt Pasha. Pasha is like Lord in England, yes. And he was the minister of education in the 1950 government before the revolution. My father was a self-made man in the sense that he came from a family in the South. His father was very rich, but he loved life probably too much, so he spent his fortune. And he had to immigrate to Cairo in the age of 50 with his children to look for a job. And I find this very, very interesting to me, you see. So they were rich, but they had really to survive a very, very difficult life, which makes usually life more difficult. If you have been all the time poor, then you haven't known any other life. And I think that my grandmother was a really very, very strong woman because she raised all these children. And my father even worked and studied, and he was sponsoring his family all his life. And I'm very proud of him, as a matter of fact.
Your mother, Zainab, was described as a real fighter.
Yeah.
Why was that? Was she very feisty?
Because it is very, very difficult to be the wife of a fiction writer. you see, and that's why I give credit to my wife as well, Iman Taimur, because it's, you see, he could be very nice to the people, to his readers, but in his house he's not nice all the time. He could be a strange person. He could be kind of troubled. He could be a kind of unpredictable personality, you see. And I think that a woman or a wife first must love her husband, must believe in him to stand all this drama.
Now, your father passed away when you were just 19, and you were, as you say, very close to him. How did you handle that?
Well, I think that the big sad moment in life, you don't realize at the moment how much you lost, you see, and that's what happened to me. I mean, I was sad because my father passed away, but I just realized my loss later, you see, and I am a writer, I'm a fiction writer, but sometimes you see, you cannot describe with words your feelings or your sadness, and this is the case with my father's loss.
Alaa, I have a lot more questions for you. We're going to take a short break here. We're back with more one-on-one in just a moment.